It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, this is Gary Shorman, and this is the Forum you're watching on Eagle Television. Great to have you along. Our forum's brought to you by Hayes Med. We have a guest today that is an All-American, not once, but twice, an All-American wrestler from Fort Hays State University. John, good to have you on the program.
It's good to be here.
Our guest is John Inman, and he just finished up what was a fight for the national championship, a match for the national championship. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but before we go there, John, where'd you grow up?
I actually grew up Southwest Missouri. I was born in Springfield. When I was about 10, moved down to Branson, Missouri. Grew up there until I finished high school, and that's when I moved out here.
What caused you to move from Branson, Missouri to Fort Hays State University?
We had a club wrestling coach that was in the area, and he actually is an alum wrestler from Fort Hays. And so he kind of hooked me up out here with Coach Thompson. We sent some information out here, and Coach Thompson really wanted to get me out here, and so this is where I ended up.
You know, I know a couple of your interviews, you talked about Fort Hays State, but you also talk about the people at Fort Hays State. I assume that has to do the program, not only the wrestling program, but other students at Fort Hays State?
Yeah, I firmly believe that Hays is an amazing town, and it's an amazing school. I can't imagine getting any more personal, I guess, relationships with, as relationships that I have now with the people that I do. I can't imagine it being anywhere else. People in Hays are just over the top nice, and same with all my professors. Everybody's super personable, and I wouldn't have wanted to go anywhere else.
Now, you're going to be graduating this spring. Tell me about your degree, what you're working on, and where do you want to go?
So I am going into criminal justice. My degree title will be Justice Studies, and I will be graduating this May. This is my last wrestling season, and then after that, I'm going to be going out and getting a job, hopefully. So.
Well, I assume, and I asked this earlier, but if you're an All-American,
right.
What do you get when you're an All-American? Because there are not that many people that can say I've been an All-American. You've done it twice. What do you get when you get that?
Well, first off, you kind of get the little bit of pride, but just, the respect, and people kind of know who you are as an athlete and know that you were a successful athlete. You get a little wooden trophy, and, you get the credentials that say you're an All-American. And then we actually have a big wall in the wrestling room that every All-American, they get their name put on there, and their weight class and what place they got, so you kind of get remembered throughout the ages of wrestling as a good wrestler, one of the top guys to ever come out of Fort Hays. So.
You know, that's cool, and you go through that process because it's a lot of work. In fact, you came to this interview,
right.
You're still out working out.
Right.
You still have some more matches to go this year?
No, I'm just training. I'm training to be the best cop I can be, and so I'm just trying to stay in shape, and more importantly, I'm trying to invest into our younger guys. Part of I guess the legacy I want to leave behind is not only for myself but for the younger guys who are really good. We've got a few really tough young guys and a lot of good wrestlers, and I want to leave behind and give back as much as I can before I'm out of here, so that they can almost be better than I was.
Well, let's talk about your wrestling career. You started at Fort Hays State. Talk about the first few years, because last year you finished fifth in 197?
184.
184, and then this year it was second in?
197.
197 this year. So you worked away. What happened the first 2 years? What got you to that point that you could be in contention for national championship?
So one thing that also goes well with being the two-time All-American is I'm a four-time national qualifier, which not very many people do as well. Some of our freshmen this year, I imagine, will be four-time qualifiers, and it's a huge feat in itself. It's tough to even make it to the national tournament. My first 2 years that I made it, I was always one match away from placing, and it's a horrible feeling. It leaves a horrible taste in your mouth. You train a whole year just to get to the show, and then you don't even get to take any hardware home. So finally, we got our assistant coach out now, our graduate assistant Julian Smith. Him and Coach Thompson just helped tweak a bunch of things. And we worked our way up the podium. Once I broke through that one time, then coming back this time, there was a lot less stress, and just felt like it was time to climb the podium and get up higher.
When they talk about tweaking in wrestling, there may be people watching out here that, they watch basketball, they don't get excited about wrestling, so they don't watch it. But when you talk about tweaking, those are not great big things, those are little things.
Yeah.
What would be some of those things that they actually taught and that you would tweak to go from kind of the lower end to the topper end of the chart?
Right. So as many people know, there's very finite technique to every sport you play. If you're watching a sport and don't know much about it, it may just seem like they're just kind of doing things however they want. Maybe football, basketball, they're just kind of shooting, or they're just kind of running whatever plays they want. But there's a very, very deep level of technique as you progress. And so tweaking little things like my stance, just lowering it maybe an inch, or how I move my feet, speeding my feet up, working on my setups, my hand fighting, everything like that. It can just be little bitty tweaks that be like, put my hand here instead of here, and that can be the whole difference in a big position. So,
well, you see, you finished up, you were runner-up, second place in the national championship for that. Tell me about that match, because you were you're battling wrestling one of the top wrestlers, not the top wrestler in that age group or that weight group.
So actually, I had hurt my knee in the semifinals, and I had to push through that to win that match, which I mean, that was a big match for me. And then, but I mean, I kept telling my coaches, I got one match in me. It doesn't matter how hard I am, I'm going to wrestle this match.
Yeah.
And I mean, I felt good. That guy is just he's a stud. Jacob Waste out of California Baptist. He's from I'm pretty sure he wrestled Apple Valley in high school, which is one of the top high schools for wrestling in the nation. So he's had a background of just amazing wrestling, and he's a stud. He's really good, and I wanted to go out and try to beat him, get that last hurrah, but it just didn't happen.
Well, I think it was a great match, as I understand it, and congratulations. There aren't very many people that get an all-star, All-American status, and with that All-American status, it's pretty darn cool, and you have it twice. So, and also the great representative, Fort Hays State University, is coming out here and working on that. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about what you're going to do next. Talk a little bit about teamwork and what it means to be part of a wrestling team. All right, our guest is John Inman, who is joining us from Fort Hays State University. He is an All-American 2 times at Fort Hays State. We'll be back after this.
Hays Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hays Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hays Med, helping people be healthy.
Are you frustrated with Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? It happens when you don't have Pulse, the cutting-edge Wi-Fi solution from Eagle Communications. A Pulse-certified Eagle technician maps your home, then installs a dual-band modem and router, plus discrete access points to deliver wall-to-wall Wi-Fi with no dead zones. Pulse powers all your family's devices in all the places you love to live. Get Pulse, Wi-Fi made simple, only from Eagle Communications. Call today.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum program. If you have ideas, suggestions, solutions to problems in our country, we'll take those too. Give us a call. You can call me at 785-301-2082. That's my office number. Or better yet, send me an email at gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Like to hear from you. Our guest is John Inman. John is an All-American, Fort Hays State University wrestler, finished second in the finals of the national championship for Fort Hays State University. It's great to have him on our program. We were talking about what went into it, and John, during the break, you were 141-28. That's a great percentage for being able to wrestle, because you wrestled some of the top wrestlers across the Midwest for sure, every day.
Absolutely.
When you look at all those matches, looking back now that you're in the history part of this, what would you do better to improve?
There's always that the kind of wish I would have kind of aspect, and I wish I would have lifted a lot more and gotten stronger. I didn't really get serious into getting stronger until these last couple of years. My first few years I didn't take it as serious, and also I just would have worked out more, probably focused a little more, eaten a little better. You know, I think I did a very good job and worked hard, but I mean, I think you can always work harder.
So what did you do right? Coming to Fort Hays State obviously was a good thing.
I did, on the flip side, I did put in the time. I'd come in, get extra workouts. Every practice, I would try my best to just get better. We have a saying, we always, a lot of times after practice, we'll say 1%, and just focus it on every practice, just getting 1% better. And I mean, just work on that slow change to try to climb to the top. So,
what are those things you look at on a wrestling team? Because while it's an individual sport, the team is still involved. You have teammates out there. What are some of the keys you look at for being on a successful team?
I think the cohesion actually makes a stronger team. You look at just kind of how people do at the national tournament and throughout the year, and it's like there's either teams are really strong or they're not. Those guys kind of work together and bring each other up, whereas teams that really don't have that cohesion and don't work hard together, they just kind of stay at the bottom and never really rise. And so that's one thing. I mean, Fort Hays has always been a really strong program in my opinion. And I'm out to make them stronger. So I've been working with all these young guys, and I want them to just kind of raise that bar higher and higher, be better than I ever was, and then just almost make a dynasty kind of thing out of it.
Well, you have a couple of years of being the top of the Division II in your wrestling career, and something for somebody else to say, hey, how'd this guy do it to make it work? How many hours did you put in? Say a week.
A lot.
A week, but maybe divided a day.
Just practice in itself was about 2 hours a day, and so that's just
in addition to your schoolwork and everything else.
Just going to practice was 10 hours a week, and we had lifting outside of practice or extra workouts that I went in, extra runs, anything like that. I mean, I probably worked 15, 20 hours, maybe more a week of just working out or wrestling. I would say a lot of my time was spent mentally preparing myself. Getting ready for practice, being in the training room like 30 minutes to an hour a day once I got older and started falling apart a little bit. But it takes lots and lots and lots of time.
Tell me about those that are out there and the mental game that goes into it, because that's a big part of what goes on. You can do all the training, but if you go in with an attitude of, well, I may not make this, what do you think going into a match that helps you win?
It's just mental toughness is all it is. And every match you go out to win, never trying not to lose. The kind of aspect. So I'm always going out and I just want to score points and try to dominate the other wrestler. I want to win every match. I really strongly dislike losing. And so, and I always lose with grace, but still every loss is a lesson learned. And then, I mean, you just always go out and try to win, never go out.
Well, a record of 141 and 28 is pretty amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about what you're doing next.
So next, I actually currently have a job offer with the Lawrence, Kansas Police Department. I will be going. I've got a few more things to make it through just to make sure I'm hired. It's just a conditional job offer, so I'm not officially on the payroll yet. But I've got that conditional offer, and I'll be working towards finalizing that and getting a job out there. My wife and I are going to be moving out there right when graduation's over, and either renting or buying a house. And
well, I hear congratulations are in order as well, too, right? You guys are recently married?
Well, we actually, so we got married last year right after Nationals.
Right after Nationals?
So it's like All-American for the first time, and then I got married, so it was nice. And then this year we had our anniversary the week after, so I mean, it's just, and then our birthday's short after that, so it's just a fun-filled month of March. So.
Oh, well, you guys, congratulations, both of you, on the new job and being able to do that, and congratulations on that All-American status. That's pretty cool. Our guest has been John Inman. Fort Hays State University wrestler and great representative of the University of the Tigers and of all of us here in this area. So thanks so much for watching the forum. John, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Have a terrific day and a terrific week. Our program is brought to you by Hays Med and by Eagle Communications. Our community connected.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications, our community connected.